Reader. It's my segment of Dread Pop where I talk to authors and graphic artists, anything in the horror community that I think are doing good things, helping others, and just putting out really good work. And with me today, I have Boris. Hey, Boris.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for being on here. I'm really excited to talk to you. I think I said something to you one day. The first time I read one of your books, I actually checked it out digitally from my library because I stumbled across it randomly. It was super
Yeah,
cool, and then went down that rabbit hole. And I'm a huge no sleep creepypasta girl, so of course I found that area of your books as well
nice.
and had to read all those.
See, I didn't even know that there are digital books available at the library. I was like, what is this sci-fi age we're living at? So,
Isn't it so cool? Because I remember having to go actually to the library all the time to actually pick up the books, and now I'm sitting at home on my little app just checking out digital books from
yeah,
anywhere.
very convenient. Very
It's
convenient.
very convenient. So I guess the first thing I kind of want to dive in and ask is, what is your favorite thing about the horror community? What makes you keep coming back, diving in, and wanting to be a writer? I guess for us.
I guess we all have some mental issues, and that's kind of drawing me back there. No, I'm just kidding. It's a very supportive community. It's like I've never seen anything like this before. I've seen a lot of toxicity and the previous environments I've been in. I used to work as a fitness coach. I used to work as a security guard and whatnot, and it was brutal. It was cutthroat, and it was very fresh to kind of come here and see that everybody's supportive of each other. It was like, what is going on?
What
What are
is
you doing?
this?
Like, what is this, some kind of manipulation tactic or what? But yeah, that's like the one thing that even though we all write and read in so many different subgenres for horror, we kind of still come together. Just recently I was at AuthorCon, and of course there's so many different people there, but we're all kind of like,
You always got that common interest, which is
yeah,
horror, so it makes everything kind of feel like not strangers.
exactly, exactly. And it's like for some of these people, I was speaking to them for the first time ever, and it felt I didn't feel awkward at all, which is I'm very awkward usually. So this was really cool to kind of get to see it online, because it's one thing when you have support online and all that, but seeing that it actually
It's
bleeds
real.
into, yeah, the real life, it's just amazing.
I love that, and I love that you got to go to AuthorCon. I have like such secondhand jealousy from not getting to go and seeing all the pictures and the videos. I'm just like, next time I have to go next time. It just
That
looks
was like
so
that for me
cool.
last year because I didn't go, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go this year for next year for sure. And I was very close to not going, but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get FOMO, so I gotta go again this year. So yeah,
I am also very introverted, so going to like big things with tons of people is like usually a big no go for me. But I went to
yeah,
Dragon Con a few years back, and it was like with horror and actors and books and like just everything all together. And I was like, this feels like weirdly home, and I know no one. It's just so cool. I love
right.
that community.
There's
But
no pressure or anything. I mean, there were a few people I met who were they said they had social anxiety and whatnot, and I was like, okay, how are you handling this? And most of them said I'm pretty heavily medicated. The ones who had issues with it, but everybody was, making them feel like you said at home. There wasn't any prejudice. Doesn't matter who you are, what you write, what kind of depraved stuff you put out there. You are welcome in those kind of
there is a group of people that are ready to listen.
exactly.
Yes, I love that. So I guess kind of rolling that into it, tell me a little bit about what gets like your hard juices flowing, like makes you want to write like your next book or get you revving.
I kind of just, when I get my ideas everywhere. When I used to write for No Sleep, since it's short stories, and the ideas there are from everywhere. The latest trend is going to be translated to a story on No Sleep. And it's somehow going to turn into, like, I don't know, SpaceX launches a probe or something. Suddenly, it's going to be a horror story on No Sleep.
There's horror in everything, so
Exactly, exactly. I think there was even once there was that chick who was selling bath water, and somebody made a horror story about that. So yeah, there's nothing is off limits there.
That's cool.
Um,
I do like
yeah,
that.
it is. It is. And so for a while, what happened was whenever I would, take a walk or drive somewhere or whatever, I would just kind of get these ideas of something abnormal happening. Like, let's say I'm driving down the road and I pass by two similar looking gas stations. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is all in a loop. Maybe it's all repeating. I've been here for a while. The classic story, So I get ideas like those. Radio Tower, one of my novels. This was back when I lived in my old apartment where I had a radio tower just outside my building, which used to blink every night. And I was like, okay, something sinister is going on here. So ideas come from everywhere. It's like I always say, there's horror everywhere. You just got to look deeply enough. But most of us we're kind of desensitized to it. It's like we don't really see horror, even though it's around us every single day, everywhere.
Hearing you say that kind of makes me realize why I like your stuff so much, because I don't really get scared, honestly, when it comes to reading anything. But I really like yours. And I think it's because, hey, it is every day something. You're just walking down the street. You could see a messed up gas station or slip into that loop of, have I already passed this 3 times or not?
Right, right,
Yeah.
and it's always that's the beauty of horror, because
Yeah.
in some genres like thrillers or action thrillers, whatever, you've got this hero who we can relate to on a somewhat personal level, but we can never be badass like that. But horror takes average Joes and Janes and whatever, like you and me. They put them in a situation nobody wants to be in, and I think that kind of really helps the readers get into it because we see, okay, shit, if this happens to, by the way, can they cuss here or no?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
already been like 10 minutes. Or, well, almost 10 minutes.
Sorry, if you want to cut it out, totally fine. Um, anyway, so what was I saying? So readers essentially, when they see an average Joe in a situation like that, somebody buys an apartment, something's wrong with that. That can happen to anybody. And then you add this extra layer of it's not just, not just problems in real life, paying your bills and whatnot. It's this whole new thing that you got to deal with.
And it's something that you really couldn't prepare for to begin with, because who's moving into a haunted apartment?
Exactly. I mean, I would, but I'm an
Do I get
exception.
some off of my rent though? Because like that's going to be the factor.
See, the thing is, like, for a while, I think the rent for haunted houses was lower, but now since there's so many people who want to go into haunted places, they've kind of risen the whole thing. So raised it.
Ruining the market.
Yeah, exactly. You can't even get a haunted house half off or anything anymore. So
Um, it's weird when I dove into. Of course, I go back and forth in my no sleep addiction, and I'll read everything I can get a hold of, and then jump off of it. And I did that when I hit yours. And
yeah,
there was another subgenre of like weird no sleeps where there was this guy that had an imaginary rental office that hung off of a rental agency, and he basically ghost busted rental houses. And I'm like, that's just the craziest thing. Anything. But
yeah,
let's
yeah.
see.
It's like you can find anything there. I think there was a similar one I've seen just there, but it's like what I told you. They take the mundane and they turn it into something that you're like, wow, okay, I've never thought of this. Going into, the office just gives you a whole new perspective.
I think that's why I like retail horror too as well, because like you're going to the grocery store, you don't expect to get trapped in there because of some crazy who knows what
Yeah,
or any of that stuff. Bentley Little's another one, likes to take the most mundane. You got a handyman and it turns into be some crazy thing or an
right.
insurance policy or a school. I don't know. I just love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Make it
I
weird.
love Bentley Little. He's got so many good books, and it's always like the institution, the what's it called? The one with the gated community. I forgot what it was called. Um,
It's basically like a homeowners association.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes,
I
I
think it's
love
called the
that because
association.
homeowners associations are crazy
Uh,
to begin with, and then you get
Exactly. Exactly. I was like, when I was reading, I was like, how are people standing for this? Like, what's going on here? But then I realized, oh, it's a real thing, actually.
like that's also another thing is I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna look into this a little bit after I read it, and like, of course, it's not as crazy, or at least I
Yeah,
don't know about some that are as crazy as that, but it's
right.
real how crazy they do get, and then you
Yeah,
have all the ones that are getting busted for embezzlement and like murdering people. I don't know, but I'm like,
yeah,
maybe
that
he
was
was onto something.
yeah. I mean, it probably definitely has some personal experience. You can sense it there. You can sense the animosity toward you. Homeowners Association.
I love it though. Well, I guess talking about that, tell me about some of your favorite authors, ones that you read and thought, I want to do this kind of thing one day, maybe.
Let's see. The first one I always recommend is Thomas Old, and I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Hoyvelt, something. Yeah,
Yes. I
he
think that's
was.
how it's pronounced. I'm bad at that.
Yeah, he's Dutch, and I mean, I hope he doesn't see me mispronouncing it here. Whatever. Anyway, so Hex is the first one I read by him, and that was so good, you know. So I always recommend that, and you know, I kind of write the similar things. Small town you can't get out of, so that was I was instantly in love with that. But the prose was, you know, it's like as a writer, I also appreciate the writing style. And this was so beautifully written that I was like, okay, wow, nothing is happening, but I'm enjoying it because it's just so beautifully written, you know?
Like you read the first part of the book and you're learning about the town, which also crazy, but like nothing's really exciting happening. But I'm like halfway through the book and I'm like, I don't care. This is so good.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think he's gonna surpass Stephen King pretty soon because he's got some,
Ooh.
yeah, I mean, he's got really original ideas and really original jump scares and, you know, scares in general that I've never seen before. You know, him and Josh Malerman, he's really good. Adam Neville as well. You know, these are some authors, my go-to authors, as I say. You know, these are really good. Adam Neville is if you're into something atmospheric because you know he does take his time getting to the point. But I do
World
love,
builders.
yeah, yeah. I love world building. I love slow burn horror. Josh Malerman. I don't know if you read his latest book, Incidents Around the House. Um, that one was really creepy. That one, it's like I don't scare easily, but that one stuck with me for days afterwards. So
I don't scare easily, but I do get a little bit paranoid when I'm reading if it's a really, really good one. And that one, I was starting to cut my eyes a little bit. I was like, oh.
yeah, yeah, very original. I mean, he takes something completely derivative, I guess, and spins it in such an original manner, you know. So
His
it's
writing is just,
mm,
it's got like this atmosphere to it that kind of seeps in as you read it. And by the time you don't even realize you're gripping the book. Like it's
yeah,
just slow. I love it.
he's really good. The other one, Bird Box, as well, was amazing by him. So yeah, he's got some good stuff. I haven't read the other ones that he wrote though, but I'll get to it. But yeah, Thomas, Adam, and him, you know, those are good ones. There's a bunch, and you know, it depends when you ask me. Tomorrow, it's probably going to be somebody else. So yeah.
Let's see. Do you have any, I guess, horror role models? And it doesn't have to be an author, just somebody that you're like, ah, I would like to be as good as them, I guess.
Yeah.
Creative, crafty.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, you know, I always say I want to be the next Stephen King.
Good one. Don't we
Maybe
all?
everybody says it's unrealistic, but somebody's going to do it someday, you know. I do like Lovecraft's writing, you know. If we exclude, of course, the other part of him that everybody's criticizing, right? But I got to say that his ideas back for those days were so inspirational.
I love the writing that he's inspired. Like, there's Lovecraftian writers, I guess, if you want to
Yeah,
call it. Like,
yeah.
I love that.
Exactly, exactly. That's like the stuff. Edgar Allan Poe, Lovecraft, the entire universe of Lovecraftian, it's just a whole term right there. He's had this timeless, you know, oh my God, my brain is English is my second language, and sometimes I'm fumbling with the words, you know.
Do not even apologize.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, Lovecraft is just I do love his stuff. You know, I read, you know, I have some of his books just behind me. I read some of his stuff, you know, I really like his writing because it was, I guess, so inspirational, but I guess people didn't really realize it until he was gone. Because as far as I understand, he became famous only after he died. So yeah.
Don't most people, I guess, apparently, which sucks
Mhm.
because I'm like, why didn't you write this when they were alive so they could know?
Kind of
But
morbid, but maybe a fast track to fame. So yeah.
I mean, you could shortcut it and maybe chop off an ear and see if that gets you anywhere first. Like
It might
baby
get some
steps.
controversial marketing, but any marketing is good marketing, they say. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. Okay, do you play like any horror video games?
Oh yeah, yeah. Those played a pivotal part in my writing.
Okay.
I started back when I was young, back before I even should have been allowed to play video games, with Resident Evil. This was back the original one in 96, 97, something like that. Those were, I guess that kind of translated to a lot of my books, like the Grayson Legacy, this creepy mansion, and some crazy stuff going on there. But throughout the years, I've played a lot of other things. For example, nowadays I do like that game, Outlast. I don't know if you know that one. Yeah, that one was really scary. Amnesia was really good. These hide and seek horror games where you don't really have an option but to, either hide or run. You can't really fight whoever's chasing you. This adds like this element of fear that,
It's like a bit of anxiety starts to build up on you, especially when they've got really good music and they've done good sound effects, because it
yeah,
builds that tension for you. And I'm like, yes, you've done a great job.
the suspenseful stuff. I have a friend who tells me, "Oh, I just turned the music off." He doesn't really hear the music. I was like, "Okay, but how do you know when somebody chases you? Because the music changes when that happens. You got to know that, right?"
Yes. So I am one of those people that do not play video games with the sound on. When I was growing up, video games weren't big allowed, so I would have the sound all the way down playing in my bedroom, so I just play without it. But when I play video games like that with the sound, like, you have to, otherwise you're missing half, well, more than half the game, because you
Oh
don't
yeah,
know. Like,
yeah.
I'm just running around on a screen and like, oh, this jumped out at me, done.
Yeah, music plays, sounds in general play a huge role.
Huge.
This is why, for example, audiobooks are sometimes for horror really popular because it kind of adds an extra layer of fear. There's suspense, the buildup of suspense and all that, which when you're reading, you don't really get that. I mean,
Nope.
I prefer reading. I do listen to audiobooks as well, but sometimes I'm in the mood for something like this. So either listen to audiobooks or, listen to those creepypasta stories on YouTube. And with some background noise, it can really, really immerse you there.
And like, it doesn't even have to be really big background noise, because I'm also a weird audiobook ingester or whatever. I don't like the full action, like, graphic novel replay
Yeah.
narration, but I like the ones that have that subtle, you just hear it barely in the background and it like curves the entire story. And then the good
Not to make
narrator
you paranoid.
knock you right out of so good.
Right.
Love it.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see. I guess since we just talked about video games, horror movies. Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, again, it's one of those things. I'm very indecisive. It's one of those things that today it's one thing, tomorrow it's going to be something else. Um, Oculus, I've seen that recently. For the second time. I really like that one. I think Mike Flanagan made that one.
I think he did. I remember seeing it for the first time, and I still
Yeah,
remember like the cold feeling at the very end, and I'm like, "Are you
yeah,
serious?"
right. And you can kind of see that, this was probably one of his earlier things. You can see that he's sort of fumbling at moments, but it worked out so perfectly. Whereas comparing it to the Haunting of Hill House or something, it's very deliberate, the whole thing. But Oculus, who cares if it's cheap and unexplained jump scares? I love it. Freaking love it.
I do. Because I know so many people don't like it, and I'm like, "But what
Yeah.
don't you like?"
Yeah. Yeah. And
Crazy.
it's like that's exactly what makes it scary to me, that, you don't know what can happen. A lot of people were like, "Oh, but in that movie, a lot of things don't make sense." And I was like, that's exactly what's making it so scary, because you don't know if you're there, what can happen to you? What can you believe?
That's one of my favorite things. Like, I do not care if a book does not make sense, because, like, okay, was it real or did they make it up? I don't know. That makes it even crazier, doesn't it? Like,
Exactly.
it can't be stupid, but it does not have to make sense.
It's always got to make, the character has to make that first initial stupid decision, check the basement or something. That's the only way you're going to get the. Oh, and I forgot to mention another author, Anya Alborn. She's definitely one of my favorites. She's can't believe I forgot to mention her earlier, but she is so good. The writing style and the stories, and what I really appreciate about her is that most of her endings, and this is not a spoiler, this is well known, most of her endings are not very happy.
Like, I love authors like that, because I have some people I see complain when they're like, okay, all these endings are the exact same. You know what's coming. Okay, but that doesn't stop you from enjoying the book that you're reading. I'm not reading these to be scared. I'm not reading this for a twist. I'm just reading a book because, like, it's a good book, you know?
Exactly.
Because there's authors that have a very, very bad ending or a cliffhanger ending for everything. And I'm like, it's not stopped me from reading a single one of their books.
Yeah, no, I love that. Some masochistic part of me really loves tragic endings, you know?
Yes.
My fiance, who actually writes psych thrillers, she tells me, you know, if you made this movie, everybody would have been dead. I was like, yeah, I mean, what can I say? I really love something that's high stakes like that, you know?
And there's nothing wrong with that. I have authors. I remember the first time I ever picked up a John Saul book, who is now one of my favorite authors. I've read everything, but I didn't know anything about his writing style. So I'm like, okay. And I remember the first 3 books, I was like, oh, this guy's doing some crazy. And now I'm used to it, but I still read every single book he wrote.
Yeah, you can kind of see that there's a sort of trademark with each author. You know, everybody knows. It's like readers who know my books, they can pretty much predict that, like, when something is culminating in my books, they're like, "Oh, nope, something's going on here. This is not how it's clear cut." You know,
But I
something's.
think that's also how you know you're crafting some good books because people keep coming back for it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's see. Do you have any horror related side hobbies? Is that a weird question? Do you do any hobbies,
No,
crafts?
it's not weird. I mean, I guess so. I go scuba diving. That right there can be, you
That's
know,
terrifying.
it can be terrifying. If I mean, I haven't really. I'm still going for my open water, course, so I'm not allowed to go deep too much. 20 meters. I don't know how much that is, and whatever
Too
American.
many.
It gets dark enough, I assume, but I've still had only indoor training so far. But that right there can still be scary because it's like when you see it on the screen and it's like, oh, just looks seamless. You just drop into water and that's it. But even that initial step is so difficult because you're overwhelmed. You get into water and you're sinking and you've got this mouthpiece and you're breathing into it, and it's not natural because you're underwater and you're feeling like, oh shit.
And then that pressure.
Yeah, there's pressure as well. You're feeling it in your ears, for the first 10 meters. It's very, very incongruous to what it is up there. And you can really feel this. Oh man, probably gonna have to cut out a lot of parts.
No,
Yeah. You're really feeling like you're overwhelmed by all this stimuli. You're underwater, you gotta breathe, and you're just cramped up. You don't want to move. You're
you've
tense.
got claustrophobia, and
Your
it makes no sense
claustrophobia.
because there's all
Right.
of this expanse.
Yeah, and you're right there. I mean, it's shallow. You can get out right away. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it becomes easy. You become desensitized, and I think that's what makes it even scarier because you get experience and you overestimate yourself. And this is how most divers die. They overestimate themselves, and it's always like, you know what? Can I go deeper? Can I go deeper?
Oh,
Deeper, and then something goes wrong. And of course, when you're at a deeper, depth, whatever, uh, things can happen in a terrifying manner. My instructor, for example, goes cave diving. I would never go cave diving. I'm going to go for some specializations, but I'm not going to do cave diving ever because the thought of being stuck there while your air slowly runs
nope.
out is just the most
There's
terrifying thing ever.
Christopher Pike wrote a book about a guy that died from cave diving, and it was like a whole
Yeah.
thing. And I read it when I was younger, and I said, nope, nope, I don't care what is in those caves. It sounds cool, but not for me.
Oh yeah, just maybe from a distance. But the funny thing is, what made me take up scuba diving? The book by, I think his name is Daniel Cross, Whale Fall. Uh,
Ooh, I haven't read that one, but I think I have heard of it.
yeah, so a guy gets swallowed by a whale. He's running. He's a scuba diver. He's running out of air. He's trying to find a way out. He can't find a way out. The whale's just going deeper and deeper and all that. And it's like a race against time. And I was like, oh, okay, this is an excellent way to start scuba diving. So I'm going to do it.
I mean, that's a good way to find hobbies. I read about something, and I'm like, oh, I got to go learn about this or figure it out and see if this is a viable craft or
Right.
something like that. But
Right.
scuba diving's a really cool one, though.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool. I mean, I really enjoy it. Again, there's also that fear factor. I think we're all kind of drawn to maybe some childhood trauma or some fears that we harbor, and we're just not even aware of it. We're just kind of like how it is in the movies. You know how somebody who's been in a haunted house as a child, as an
And
adult,
they
they
go back.
exactly, and then the weird stuff starts happening again. It is how it is. History repeats itself. So
I think it's kind of nice to have an outlet to get through some trauma that you may or may not know about by doing something. I like to do live videos sometimes, or these videos, because they absolutely terrify me. I'm so introverted, it's not even funny. But like, these are
really,
fun. And then after I'm done, I'm like, this is so great. Why am I
yeah.
worried? And then I start to cycle over. But, you know,
But see, that's a healthy mechanism. There are healthy mechanisms, and there are the well, not so healthy ones. So,
exactly. You got to pick good ones, which we are. So good job for both of us.
well, for you, I don't know how mine's going to pan out, but
I mean, don't go cave diving. I think you're okay.
I'm not certified. I hope I won't be, but we'll see. Things can go wrong everywhere. I guess it's like social media has this ability to read your mind, and more and more ever since I started scuba diving, I'm seeing all these videos of people who are being they're scuba diving, and there's sharks coming near them and all that, and their tanks running out, and it's just like, okay, great, this is exactly what I need to see before my next session.
This is exactly what my nightmares are. So great. Thank you for confirming. No, completely get it. So let's see. Okay, so I know you went to Scarce That Cares, but do you have like locals to you stuff that you go to for the horror? Any fun things? And I mean, not even super local, just in your area, I guess, that you want to talk
Oh,
about.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, because here's the thing. So in Serbia, people read Serbian books, and horror is there's still a lot of stigma surrounding horror. When I tell some people I write horror, a lot of them are like, "Oh, dear God," and they're kind of keep their distance as if I'm gonna just burst into flames or something. And I gotta explain to them I'm not writing satanic stuff. I'm not the devil worshiper or something. I'm writing horror. Horror is just so abstract and so omnipresent. It's everywhere. But people don't understand that, and there's still a lot of stigma. And I did try to get some of my books into bookshops. They were not really interested. So I'm finding way more success in America. Just
We love it.
I'm glad. And it's so great because I get contacted by all these small bookstores. I have one just recently who they contacted me from Oregon, and they want me to do a book signing, and that's really good because all my books are set in Oregon. So it's really awesome that they actually
I love that.
yeah, they appreciate it, and I was like, wow, okay, this is amazing. That people across the globe are finding and appreciating my books.
Love that so much. Well,
Yeah.
do you plan on doing any what are we going to call them? Are they conventions? Is that what we call events? Oh, book signing events. What do you have planned? Anything?
Yeah, I do have one, Books and Brews, this summer. So I'll be there. I'm probably going to pair that with the one in Oregon. I'm not really sure. Depends on the timeline and all that. Next year, there's a couple that I want to attend. There's actually one in the UK. I have not been able to attend any in the UK so far because I need a visa. But since I recently got my Hungarian citizenship, I won't need a visa for the UK, so that's going to be good. Um, that's a long story. But anyway, I won't need a visa for Canada and the UK, so I can probably go there and
Ooh.
signings or whatever. That would be cool to kind of branch out and all that. I mean, yes, 90% of my readers are American, but I do want to branch out a bit and go to other countries.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely. Anywhere that horror has like things and going on, it's fun. Especially if you can go.
yeah,
Go.
yeah, agree totally.
Let's see. Okay, let's see. If you had any tops, pieces, or nuggets of wisdom that you wanted to pass on to readers or even other horror authors that are just starting out, what would it be, do you think?
Don't write horror, go into other genres. No, I'm just kidding. One thing that people got to be aware of, especially writers, is that horror is way less lucrative than other genres. Romance is dominant, psychological domestic thriller is dominant, in the market. And this is why so many people jump ship and they go for something that's way more profitable. I was very close to jumping ship as well and starting something different, but this was years ago, and everybody was telling me, horror is maybe a supplemental genre. You can now really make a living out of it. But I was like, no, I started writing because I like writing, and I don't want to make that a nuisance for myself. So I continued, and it paid off. I think nowadays it's way easier because people are still they're kind of doing the direct sales, merch and whatnot. But I'm kind of trailing off here. Going back to the advice thing, if there's one piece of advice I'd give them is for the writers, that would be just write what you want to write, because I've tried it. I've tried writing what I like. I've tried writing to the market, and readers have this sixth sense. They can really tell when you're writing something just to make money or just because you think the audience is going to like it. So
Yup.
be authentic. That's my main point. So yeah, was I
I
supposed to be
definitely
the
agree with
readers?
that as a reader.
Oh,
As a big reader, honestly,
yeah,
I feel like, there's a place and there's a time for those quick digestive books that you wrote for, you know, everybody else. But like, I'm not going to be a big fan of it. It's something I'm going to put back on the shelf that I read at the airport. It's not going to be something that I'm like, okay, this book is coming home with me and I have to tell everyone I know about it. Kind of
yeah. Yeah. I think it's like when you read something, you kind of get to know the person as well. You get to peer into the author's soul, sort of. And this is not something that, even friends or family get to see. A lot of us, we kind of hide that and we put it on paper. And it's a very personal, very private thing. So readers see that, they fall in love with the story, but in a sense, they're also falling in love with the author, if I may say so, like that. And I think there's a lot of things that people relate to when it comes to stories like those, because horror is such a personal thing. Everybody sees it differently.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that answer. This might be one of my favorite answers I've had so far.
Well, thank you.
Okay, let's see. Now let's talk. Well, we've already talked about you this whole time, but let's talk about your books. Tell me about your favorite book that you have written, and then any books you have coming up.
Okay, let's see. Today, my favorite book of mine is, let's see, Radio Tower is still one of my favorites. That one I always go back to, probably because it's my debut. And I do love small town horror stuff, and it's just, I don't know, maybe it just reminds me of something, but I do love the whole, deadly, but very, very on the surface polite, but sinister neighborhood. And then the secret experiments, whatever, not whatever. It's just I still kind of, even these days, even though Radio Tower has run its course, I still sort of go back to it from time to time, and I'm like, okay, how can I improve it? How can I still sell it to the market? How can I kind of show it to new readers? Which you can't. Once it's done, it's done. But it's still one of my favorites. I'm always recommending that one. Whenever people ask me which one to start with, I tell them either that one or the other one, Suicide Town. Again, I don't
That's
know
the
if
one I found at my library,
yeah, that's the one.
and
Yeah.
that was my first one. I love small town horror, so I was like, "What? Yes, sold."
How did you like that one?
I loved it, but
Yeah.
again, like I said, I love small town horror. Like, there's something because I'm from a small town, like super small, like one grocery store small originally.
Oh, yeah.
So like on that, and it's a southern town, so everybody thinks nice, quaint, and you scratch the surface and you see how ugly it is, and I'm like, yes, this is it. So like every small town horror trope I find, I've got to take it and read it, run with it, because it's so
I love small
scary. It
towns.
looks normal.
Yeah, I love small towns, and nothing can top that horror. When I was in America just now, I had a road trip and I was going through all these small towns, in the boonies and whatever. And it's just every small town, it's like similar, but there's something unique
I
about
believe you passed very close to Chattanooga, if I'm not mistaken, and that's about 45 minutes from where I originally grew up.
it. Where is that exactly?
Chattanooga, let's see, in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, I was in Tennessee. I went to Nashville through Gatlinburg. so maybe nearby.
Yep, very, very close, very close.
Yeah.
I'm from the Gatlinburg originally area, and I'm now in Memphis, which is 3 hours from Nashville. But like, it's night and day how different those two chunks of areas are. But
Yeah.
small
I,
town crazy.
I have to ask you because I could not get a definitive answer anywhere. Elvis sandwich, does it exist over there?
Yes, it's real.
Yes, it's real.
Yes,
Okay, what?
yes.
How do you make it?
Okay, so it's two different ones. You have one that doesn't have bacon and one that does have bacon. It's two white pieces of bread, sliced up banana, peanut butter, and fried bacon, and then you toast it like in your skillet, and it's good. And you can make it without bacon if you want, if you don't like that whole thing. But Elvis just used like flat out white bread. He wasn't fancy. Nowadays, people use like brioche and try to zhuzh it up.
Yeah, no, the original one's the best. I actually made it at home after I came back home, and it was so good with bacon, of course. But when I was in Tennessee, in general, in Nashville and the other areas, nobody knew what an Elvis sandwich was. And they were like, "Oh, is that the one with the peanut butter and bacon?"
So you weirdly just like kind of went around the Elvis area in your travels. So if
Oh,
you
man.
had passed a little closer to Memphis, like we have restaurants where it's a special for breakfast kind of thing. Because Elvis's palace or whatever in Graceland is right over
Yeah.
in Mississippi, which is right beside us. So
Got it. Well, maybe next time I
next
will come
time.
back for the Elvis sandwich.
We have all kinds of food around here, but that's one of my favorite things about traveling. I love to try different foods.
Yeah, there's actually so many things there that I know we're kind of going off on a tangent. You can cut all this
Don't
whole
care.
part out if you want. But seafood boil. Since my country's landlocked, we have no seafood almost at all. Shrimp, very expensive. Salmon, only fake one. So when I went to a seafood boil buffet, I was like, "Holy crap, this is heaven! This probably is what heaven looks like."
Listen, so back home where I'm from is like,
Mhm.
it sounds weird, but it's like almost a food desert. Like we had one grocery store, nobody delivered food. Like you couldn't even get pizza delivered. And I'm in the United States. Is that not crazy? But
Wow.
anyway, so when I moved out here, I got to go to Trader Joe's for the first time in like all these crazy places I'd only seen on TV. And I'm like, this is the
Yeah.
world.
Right. That was
I'm a
like
huge
that for
food
me
person.
too. Yeah, like when I came to America and I was like, wow, you guys have actually like a grocery store inside a pharmacy. What is going on here?
Yes. Aldi's. Do you guys have Aldi's? Or little LIDL?
I know what it is, but I can't remember. My girlfriend would know.
It's like crazy because it's a grocery store, but the entire center aisle you can buy a power washer if you want.
Amazing. Love
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, this is America. But anyway,
Yeah. Love that.
yeah. Upcoming books. Do you have anything new coming out, or are you working on that you can talk about? Understand if you can't.
Yeah, I do have. Actually, I'm sitting on like 6 manuscripts that I finished since last year because last year I got really lucky. I published a trilogy, and it went so well that I didn't have to publish anything in the meantime. So I've got a few. I'm not sure which ones I can talk about. I can say that I have another small town horror book coming out. That's the one I can mention. The other ones I cannot really talk about because I'm probably going to pitch them to literary agents. So I
Of
don't
course.
know how much, yeah, I can share and whatever. So lips closed for now, but I
Don't
can
happen.
say that, yeah, I can say that the small town one, people are probably going to love it. So yeah.
Got it. Let's see. Is there any Facebook groups that you love that you want to give a shout out to, or any groups in general, not Facebook, that have helped you get where you are, or you think super supportive, anything like that?
Let's see. Well, first one, of course, the obvious one, books of horror, the biggest one on Facebook, and the one with the biggest reach. It's just amazing how much they've accomplished. It's like at first I was like, oh, it's just another Facebook group, but then it's just exploded, and even the
It's
big authors started joining there and commenting and posting, and I was like, wow. And now Books and Brews and all that being organized, that is a huge thing.
so
Um,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, and I don't really. Venture into other groups on Facebook. They just kind of don't pop on my feed. Um, I guess it wasn't active enough in them, and the algo just kind of recognizes that. So books of horror, there were a few other ones I was in, but most of them were they were just a far cry from what books of horror is. They were very competitive, very toxic, lots of self promotion and whatever, and it was just the Wild West over there.
Oh, trust me, I'm in a ton of different ones where I can post reviews and stuff, and there's some of the groups that I'm just solely in to post reviews because I am not even dipping my toe in that one.
Just post it and bounce. Don't even read the comments, right?
Right? I don't want to see anything in here. Closing my eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's like in those groups, there's always going to be, if you post something, there's always going to be this one guy who's going to disagree with your review, and they're going to elaborate why you're wrong about it. And it's just
I'm always like, thanks, can you go write your own review? I don't see that anywhere.
Exactly.
Like, I'm so mean. Like, I'm completely fine with reviews that like contradict mine, but don't come to my review to argue with me. That is not what I'm here for.
I think that's a very important, topic to discuss, because so many times I've seen readers who get targeted either by other reviewers or by authors themselves, which is disgraceful. And leaving reviews as a reader, that's supposed to be safe space, for the readers, for the reviewers, for whoever leaves a review. Absolutely. I have seen so many, shameful things done by, when other reviewers do it, they can kind of stay anonymous, sort of. They have this ability to do so without any major repercussions. Authors, when they do it, that is just terrible. We are supposed to, as authors, kind of detach ourselves from the books as a personal project and understand that not everybody's going to like it, because your friends and family, of course, they're going to say the book is great. Once you put it out there for the strangers to see, this is when you're going to start getting the bad stuff. And this is like all the depraved comments that people can leave because they're behind the screen, right? That they're never going to say to your face. And you have to be really thick-skinned to be able to take something
especially if you're going to sit there and read those reviews, because you can choose not to, of course. But like, if you are, you got to be able to separate and be like, okay, is this a review that somebody left that didn't read my book just to be a jerk? Or is this somebody that really didn't like it and you can tell? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
you can't let the ones, because you're going to have trolls everywhere for no reason.
Yeah, it's like it can be. There are people who can be sensitive, and they're like, "Oh no, he left this review," and then you question yourself, like maybe he's right. Maybe I should have changed this. Maybe this should have been done differently. But after a while, you kind of see that there's contradictions. On one of my books,
there's that one review where that guy wanted you to change this, but you've got 50 reviews of people that loved it. So like, you got to weigh that.
Right. And I think on one of my books, there's a review. One says the author is using too many difficult words. Just below that, it says the author is using too many simple words. You can never please everybody. That's just the basis of it. That's the crux of the whole problem. But I think it's important to take that lightheartedly. These days I just use these 1-star reviews for promotion. So, but
listen, I bought a book recently from someone that got a 1-star review because I'm like, oh, that sounds crazy. Click,
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's very important for readers to have that space where they can say whatever they want. Of course, as long as it's not a personal attack on the author or whatever. If you're going to bash the book, totally fine. Everybody has a right to do that. And nobody should come into your personal space on your social media, whatever, and tell you that you are wrong and that you should not be doing this or whatever.
People are so crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Do we have anything else? I think we've already ran through everything. This was such a fun interview. I didn't even realize how fast it was. Anyway, thank you for joining us, Boris. Is there anything you want to give a shout out to? Anything else? Your webpage? Anything like that?
Nah, nothing useful. I can,
nothing useful.
So we're good. The website doesn't really sell anything. All my stuff is at Amazon. So
I will link your Amazon account then, of course, so everybody can find all your books. I'm all about that, wherever you may sell them. And hopefully we get you into some more stores. But thank you for coming. This was wonderful.
Thank you for inviting me. This was very fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing the interview online.